I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Dish Upon a Star, where we talk to some of your favorite stars from your favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Chae Jones, and for all you OG DCOM Disney fans, you might know her as Mari Bach from The Color of Friendship, as a Disney movie surfer, or if you're a True Blood fan, she is Sookie's cousin. We have Miss Lindsey Haun. Please say I said that last name right.
Yeah, you did. Great job.
Yay.
Hello. I'm so happy to be here. This is so fun. In my house, we're talking to you. Yeah.
Obviously, we're doing this from our house, safe, social distancing.
Yes.
But I'm so happy for you to be here today. Like, before we jump into everything, we have to. How are you dealing with quarantine life? This new normal that we find ourselves
in. I'm great, actually, which I feel. I feel kind of bad saying, because I know that this has been really hard for a lot of people. And I'm incredibly aware of that. And I'm like trying my hardest to make myself available to people who need help, maybe getting out of their situations or need somebody to talk to. But me personally, I'm doing amazing. I love staying home. I have 3 amazing animals and an incredible husband, and we're having the time of our lives. We're not killing each other. It's like the greatest thing. And I was just talking to him today about how I feel kind of bad even saying that, because I am very aware that it is not like that for other people. But yeah, I write now, and I work from home basically, unless I'm out shooting. But right now I'm writing, and so it's kind of perfect. And I'm playing video games all the time and watching everything. And I have toilet paper, it's just, I'm awful. I'm an awful, horrible, wonderful, great time. How about you?
I'm doing good. I still work for my job. Like, I still do have to leave my house for that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I miss connection. I think for me, that's what's weird.
Yeah.
However, I spent time talking to my friend for like over an hour. And it was like just really nice, because we haven't actually had a chance to do that. So that was really cool for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I have friends visit me, and they stand on the street and we wave at each other and yell, and it's great. And my neighbors now know all of my business. And but I do miss being around people. I was saying to one of my friends that I've never wanted to be in a mosh pit so bad in my life. Like, I just want to be crammed with people. I want to shove into, I don't know what this feeling is. Maybe I just need to be in a dance party. Maybe I shouldn't get so aggressive with it. But I miss that. And I'm not actually like a large group person really, but I do miss that. And I have a really great group of friends that I miss a lot. So I do miss that. But all in all, pretty great. I'm in my pajamas all the time. Except for right now. This is like the first time I put on a normal shirt.
I love that. Well, this is a very special year, not just obviously because of what's going on globally, but because this is the 20th anniversary of The Color of Friendship.
I didn't even know that. Oh my gosh, of course it is. Oh,
so hearing
cool.
that, how do you feel like knowing it's been 20 years since you did the movie, or maybe 21 since you did the movie and it aired, and we're here now?
Proud. I want to say old, but which is also true. But really, it's amazing that I'm still proud of something that I was a part of 20 years ago. And I was proud then, but as time goes on, as I mature, as things happen in the world, it's one of maybe the thing that I'm the most proud of that I've done in my career, even though it was one of the things that I did so early. But it was just such an incredible thing to be a part of. And when people come up to me on the street and tell me that that's the reason why they're coming up to me, I just feel really lucky that I was a part of something like that was such a positive impact, and talked about things that are so important still, which is kind of crazy. But that, you know, and so I don't know. I'm just really proud. I love that movie. I love that movie.
No, trust me, I love it. I grew up on that movie. That movie was everything to me growing up.
I love that.
Before I fangirl about it, because we have a lot to talk about for this movie, because like you said, it's still prevalent to today, and it's kind of crazy to think that way.
Yeah.
Like how it still mirrors sometimes in the day and age that we live in today.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember your audition for Mari, and did you have to do the accent for the audition?
You know, yes, I do, because it was intense. They told us that we didn't have to do a South African accent. I worked with a acting coach at that time before every audition, Sean Nelson. I love him, Sean. Shout out. And he was like, "No, you should do some semblance, even if it's not perfect. You should do a little bit of an accent." So there wasn't, especially at that time, there wasn't a lot out there of South African accents. It's such a weird dialect. What's the movie called? Oh, I keep hitting my thing. The Gods Are Monsters, I think is what it was, like one of the few South African movies out there. Oh, I should have this just like ready to rattle off. I think it's The Gods Were Monsters. And I had to like get it from like a Hollywood Video. They were like the only video place that had it, and I never returned it. That's okay. They went under. So all of my debt is
It's clear.
Millions of weeks of not returning it. It's horrible. I never returned it, but I took it with me because I was just listening to it all the time. And my acting coach was kind of good at it, and so I went into my first audition doing sort of a South African accent, and then got another audition. I think I went in LA. I think I went to 3 or 4 callbacks, and every time my accent was getting better because I was working on it a bunch and trying to find it. Nelson Mandela. I mean, like anybody that had an accent that was in media at all, and it was like not represented. And white South African accents are a little bit different, especially at that time in the 70s, especially her being the daughter of a policeman. It was like, it couldn't be super white proper, but it had to have more Afrikaans and be dirtier. And actually we, you know, dirtier. I didn't mean it like that. I meant to like thicker, you know what I mean? Like more based in the Afrikaans. But then as we were doing that, it was harder for people to understand me. So by the time I went in for the screen test, they flew me and a South African girl out to Toronto, and we both did a screen test with Shadia Simmons, who played Piper, and who's amazing. And the other girl, Carly, what was her name? Carly something. She was amazing too. She was incredible. And we like hung out for a week together, which honestly really did help my accent because she was legit. and I worked with the guy who played my father and the woman who played my mother, and they were my dialect coaches basically from that audition for the rest of time. And yeah, it was like every day I had them on set, and we were just tweaking the accent and making sure that it was authentic, but we had to make it a little bit more proper because it was harder to understand when it was more Afrikaans. It was harder for American kids to understand. So that was the longest answer ever. I'm so sorry.
No, it's great. That's a great answer. Because The Color Friendship is really based on true events that actually happened during the apartheid, during that time. Because, and for those who don't know what the apartheid was, here's a little history lesson. The apartheid was a system institutionalized, basically racial segregation, starting in like 1948 until like the early 90s. And Stephen Biko was an actual activist. And you're talking about this actual person during this movie.
Yeah.
Like what was it about? What was it about Mari that when you saw the role, you're just like, I wanted to play this character?
I mean, everything. I loved her character arc. It's really rare to be able to play somebody that has that kind of an arc, that goes from something that is kind of really hard to play, like a likable racist, is a challenge. But she was coming from just complete naiveness, a complete ignorance, and the growth of her character, of being outside of herself, of having to experience empathy. I love characters like that. I think that is like, I mean, that is the main reason why I've ever wanted to be an actor and why I've ever wanted to tell stories, is because I think it's a really incredible way to make people experience other people's lives that are not like them, and inspire empathy and connection in ways that you probably wouldn't be exposed to another way, otherwise. And so this is like the epitome of that. I loved being able to maybe have the ability to take someone off guard that maybe had some ideas that also maybe were implanted in their head by their parents or by their culture, or anything like that, and give them a safe space, give them a character that they could identify with, and then possibly grow with, and see that it's okay to question those things that are toxic. It's okay to move on, and it doesn't mean that you're bad or that you have to forsake your family. And I also have always had like this sense of justice, that passion for justice, that I think sometimes I get in trouble because I'm like, that's wrong, and I've always got to be the person to say it. And I've really, in my later age, had to figure out how to tamp that down. But that was another thing that really, really drew me, because I was just like, oh my God, this is a serious story, and it's reaching children. It was taking kids, young adults, seriously, rather than pandering and tapping, tapping them on the head and sending them on their way. It was like talking about real stuff. And I remember the two things when I was really young that I remember that super impacted me was finding out that Jesus was crucified, and, and finding out about the slave ships. When I was a kid and I was going through history books, and I found out about slavery and how people were stacked on boats, that was worse actually than finding out about Jesus. I couldn't believe it. And I remember going into like, oh, sorry, my dog is barking, going into a really deep state of like, what is this world that I am in, and questioning everything. And I mean, it devastated me, and it was something that I still have a hard time grasping, that it happened, and that we do that, and that we still do it in other ways. So I was just, I was just so excited to work on this and to play the bad guy.
I mean, for me as a viewer watching, it wasn't. I mean, granted, even now as an adult, and I rewatch it all the time because it is my Black History Month.
Yeah,
It's my Black History Month to
My-
watch because I have to.
I love
But it's
that.
also the fact that I thought Maury was a kid. Like our parents, like hate was never something. It's always taught. It's not something a child has.
Yeah.
Like you're not born with hate. You're taught it, and then you repeat it in different ways, and you become an adult, and then you share it because that's what you were shared with.
Yeah, and it's taught to us out of fear, from the older, the fear that older generations have. And that was another thing that I really loved about it, that she felt when she's talking to Piper and she's like, my father's a policeman, you know what I mean? Like, it touched on that loyalty that also keeps you in that like familial loyalty and that community loyalty that keeps you in a mindset that isn't healthy, and having to break out of that is a really scary thing. And I just thought that The Color of Friendship, the writing, and Kevin Hooks, the director, dealt with it so beautifully and so gently. There was so much grace and so much safety in it. Yeah, I love hearing that. I love that it's that, and I hear that from people, that it's a lot of people's Black History Month. And I love that every month every month, every year, I get to like relive it, because people, tweet me and text me and yeah, I'm so humbled that I was a part of it at all. I'm just so grateful. I'm gonna keep saying that. I'm just gonna keep saying the same thing.
That's okay. It was interesting for me because as like you, when you're a kid and you watch, and then when you get an adult and you rewatch, things become a little bit more clear. Things you didn't understand. Like for me as a kid, like to hear that certain books or movies were banned, that was like news to me.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, I wish somebody would try to see what I could do with that information. But then obviously, because it's a different part of the world that I have no knowledge of, I understand that. And then one of the mom character, Roscoe, I just love her, by the way. She said
amazing.
that when she, like, I rewatched it, and hearing it from her, I heard it as a kid, but as an adult, I understand it a lot more now. She said that whites can also be victims as well as blacks. And that was, wow, like I never thought of it like that, especially as children and you're taught to learn a certain way. It makes you really think in a different perspective. And the best part I always thought about The Color of Friendship was it is truly a story that says both sides. Both sides of the story is told.
Yeah. I think that in any kind of a dysfunctional setup, everybody is the victim. Not to get too deep here, but like even with rape culture, I think men are the victim of that as well. It's not just women that are the victim. It's an ideology that hurts all of us. It's a thing that a lot of people participate in, even if it's against your own interest. You're just a part of it. It's the culture. I love that. I love that sat with you. Penny Johnson, man, she is a force. I love her. I run into her every once in a while, and she's amazing. I'm so glad that I got to work with her in this movie. She like really brought that character to life. Really brought a lot to it.
My favorite scene is the kitchen scene when your character comes in and she's like, I want brinjal and rusk and like sausage, but if you don't have sausage, bacon will be fine. And okay, so because obviously I am African American, so growing up, the look she gave me was like the classic Black mother look of like, let me take a minute before I educate you real quick about what's about to happen.
That was actually directed. Kevin Hook told her to do that. I remember it. That's so funny. I totally forgot about that till you just said it, but I remember that moment. I remember them joking about that and talking about that moment, how that needed to be that moment. That's so good. See, that speaks to what a great actress she is. It was so clear. That's amazing. I love that.
It was Color Friendship to this day is still so needed, and they used to show it so much on Disney Channel. I kind of hope they bring it back again, like, especially for Black History Month, but also just as it was something so different than what we saw. Like, granted, they had True Confessions, and that was like showing a different side of population than a lot of us have ever dealt with, like Shia LaBeouf playing that character. Then you had comedies where you had Cadet Kelly, Double Team, and then you had The Look of the Irish, which is really about the Irish culture, which was new for a lot of us who don't know anything about that.
Right. When we did The Color of Friendship, it was the first time that Disney Channel was taking a chance on actual issues, and we were all kind of hoping that it would start a trend of those kinds of movies for Disney Channel. I'm not really sure why it didn't, because we won an Emmy.
Let's be real quick. We are Emmy-winning.
We won
movie.
an Emmy, okay. But and I'm not really sure why, because I remember True Confessions. I remember when they were going in, I auditioned for it. They were going into production for it, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, we're actually starting to deal with real stuff, and Shia is incredible. And so I love being grouped with that film, because I think that you're right. I think that it was during an era when Disney Channel was being really brave, and I really commend them for it. And I agree with you. I hope that they try to do that. I think that it's hard right now because the world is more polarized, I think, even than it was then. But in the same way that they so wonderfully and gently dealt with it in The Color of Friendship. I think that they could do that with other films, and I hope that they do, because that was really cool to be a part of.
I mean, you also were a Disney movie server. For those who don't remember, movie server was when certain Disney hosts or people who are just new to Disney got to be behind the scenes with some of like Nemo, Atlantis 2001, The
Mm-hmm.
Princess Diaries, The Country Bears, which is like ultimately my favorite.
The Country Bears.
I
Is
love
that
The
your
Country
favorite
Bears.
movie?
It brings me so much joy. I can't even tell you how, like, I can rewatch it and still laugh and sing along. And it's a musical, and I love it.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that movie, but that was a really fun episode to do. I loved going on that set. It was great. And we did that music video. We did a music video where we like all learned to dance for that one. That was crazy.
And it was amazing. So when you did Finding Nemo, because I actually remember this one where you got to go scuba diving, you learned the basics, and you got
Yeah.
to go to Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
And do you still scuba dive, or was it just the one time that you did it?
I don't. I would really love to, actually. I loved that experience. Jean-Michel Cousteau, an Ocean Futures man. I mean, talk about like a somebody wanting to be a part of like justice things. I was like, yes, let's talk about the ocean. Let's talk about the environment. But also the experience of like, I got to swim with 3 sharks. That was like not part of the plan, and one of them was pregnant, and I loved it, and I love the water. I'm such a water kid, and I've been back to Hawaii so many times. I got engaged in Hawaii.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, I love it. But I haven't been scuba diving. I think like I really, if I had somebody in my life that was interested in doing it with me, I would totally do it and get certified, because it was amazing. It was really amazing. And I encourage literally anybody that's possibly interested to go do it, because it's a whole new world, you know?
I mean, speaking of a whole new world, you did ABC Family's original movie, Brave New Girl.
Mm-hmm.
And it was totally different, obviously, from Mari, because it was based on a novel by Britney Spears and her mom,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to sing.
Yes.
So are you actually classically trained before you did the movie, or was that something you also learned while you were filming?
My grandfather was an opera singer. I was not classically trained, but I have been in vocal training, and more like pop, jazz, blues vocal training since I was like 7. So and music training since then. And then with that film, I trained for a few weeks with an opera coach. So yeah, I guess that. But I'm a singer. I mean, I sing on commercials
That's
all
so
the
cool, though.
time. You hear my voice all the time, and you don't even know it.
But did you get to meet Britney Spears
Oh
while you were
yeah.
filming?
Yes, I did. I auditioned for her. She picked me. She handpicked me. There were 3 of us that went into the final call, and it was crazy because I think it was like E Entertainment was covering the audition. So there were like tons of people and tons of cameras. One of the girls was so nervous that she was biting her fingernails and started bleeding in the middle of her audition. She was so sweet. And it was like intense, and we were there for hours. But Britney was incredibly kind, was very cool, especially in the few moments that the cameras were off. She was like a real person. And I really liked her. But that was the one day that I didn't meet her any other day than that day. But she was awesome. She was awesome. And that was right before she got married in Vegas. It was like, because then when we were shooting the film, People magazine came to set, and they were like, Lindsey, do you know where Britney is? We can't find her. And I was like, what? That was horrifying. Like, you can't find her? Good. Like, I was like, what does that mean? No one knows where she is. You can't find her. Like, good. I'm not helping you, even if I knew. It was like my first real experience with how crazy like the media was with celebrities. I didn't really get it until like no one knows where she is. Until that sentence was said to me, I was like, I don't know if I want this life. What is this life? This is crazy. What am I working towards? This is scary. The whole world needs to know where you are. That's weird.
I mean, it was interesting because like even in the film, it's about not losing yourself to what your goal is, what your dream is, because it's very quickly to become somebody else to make everybody else happy, but by losing yourself at the same time.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a thing you can do. That's definitely a thing that you can do. I mean, yeah, I guess that's a really good assessment of like one of the little morals of that film. I haven't thought about it in a long time, but you're right. And it's something you should definitely think about if you're going into the arts, if you're trying to be a star, because when you're trying to do that, there's a lot of opportunity for compromise. There's a lot of opportunity to compromise yourself. You just have to figure out like what's worth it and what's not, and what parts of you definitely should keep. Integrity is a big deal.
Because you've been in this business since you were a child actor. You've been acting since you were little. How did you stay so grounded without losing, your integrity?
I'm not going to say that I'm perfect and that I haven't lost my integrity a few times. I mean, thankfully I've never gone down a rabbit hole of that, but there have definitely been times in my life and steps that I've made where I've been like, wait a minute, this isn't me. Wait a minute, I'm not happy. Do I want to be working towards this? What's the point of giving up my personal life and all of my energy? Is it because I just want to be famous, or is it because I actually love this art that I'm doing and this work that I'm doing? And do I feel like it's making a positive impact in the world? And I've had to walk away from things before because of that in the middle of things. And that's not been a popular choice, but, but it was important. And I don't regret those choices. Although some people think I've been completely insane for doing them. My mom has always really stood by me. And I grew up Christian, but not really into the church, like with my own relationship with searching for God that includes a lot of things. It's not exclusive, and I think that actually really helped me, sort of having a higher power to answer to that wasn't just money, it wasn't just Hollywood, it wasn't just whatever. It was like a beacon of integrity, that I could always measure decisions next to when it was hard to even find myself, because you lose yourself a little bit in it, even just in the work. I mean, when you're really in there and you're in the momentum of everything and you're working all the time, every day, you're putting out, you're performing, your whole job is to make other people happy. And, hopefully your performance is good enough that it touches people and it makes people happy, which is lovely and incredible. And like, what an amazing gift to be given. But at the same time, it's really easy to make your entire identity about pleasing people. And then you completely forget what you want. And that's really easy to do. So it's, for me, it really helped to have an outside source that I could look to.
I love that. I mean, speaking of sources, because you also did True Blood, and you were a source of health for the vampires as Miss Hadley, and it was another, I would say, another just true testament to your acting ability, because it was totally different than we've seen you thus far in this role.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. That feels good.
How did it feel joining the cast and working on such a very obsession type show?
It was awesome. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was totally stoked. I was so excited. Originally it was a really small role. They were like, this is a co-star, you're gonna have like 3 lines, and and which wasn't normally something that I went in for, but I really loved Alan Ball as a filmmaker, as a producer, and I love HBO. I love HBO. And and I was excited to get an opportunity to be a part of something that was very different from what I had done before. I mean, it was just an incredible opportunity. So I went in, and the character was really cool. I'm like, I got her. She was somebody who was just trying to survive, just not in a perfect situation and just trying to survive. And so yeah, I went in, I had fun with it, and I did one audition, and 2 hours later they called me. It was completely different from The Color of Friendship. And then I went in, and I had a blast with Evan Rachel Wood. She is incredible. I had a blast with all of them. Anna Paquin took me in and was so sweet. Stephen Moyer, Alexander Skarsgård, all of them were just so incredible. And Nelson, who played oh my god, what was his character's name? the drag guy, the cook. Lafayette. Jeez. Thank you.
Because I love me some Lafayette.
I loved him, and I actually connected with him the most. We didn't have any scenes together, but we met. He was always there, for our table reads. Anytime I do an episode, we do we would all sit around a table and do a read of the whole episode out loud with each other. And he and I would end up talking afterwards all the time. And yeah, that relationship was, we just talked during during that time. We saw each other on the street every once in a while in Franklin Village, but he was just so cool. And watching him work was one of the greatest pleasures of my career, in all honesty. He was brilliant. He was really brilliant. And I'm really happy that I had an opportunity to meet him.
For me, it's interesting because most of your roles, you've actually done an accent.
Yeah, I know.
In the bigger roles that you're known for, like you've done it was Louisiana for True Blood, Texas for Brave New Girl, then South African for The Color of Friendship. I think that's awesome personally, and I would love to work on my dialect so I can do that as well. Because I just think that it's amazing, like the things you're known for is like playing characters with different accents and doing it well.
Well, it's kind of easier to play a different character when there's a different accent. I have to say, maybe it's a crutch of mine, actually. Maybe it's impressive on the outside, but on the inside, I'm like, oh, great, this character has an accent. Awesome. Because it helps me, it helps me get outside of myself. Just like, when actors always say, like, when they have their hair and makeup, like their character isn't fully done until they have their hair and makeup and their wardrobe on. And then all of a sudden it's like your character really comes to life. An accent is one of those things. And sometimes when I get an audition and it's not with an accent, I will play with it in different accents just to see if I can find other parts of the character that aren't existing in my ownness. I love accents for that reason, because it really does help you. It's just such an easy way to get into somebody else's skin and get out of your own.
That's awesome. Thanks. And you've also went from being in front of the camera to behind the camera because you also direct. Yeah. What made you want to make that journey to directing?
Well, speaking of The Color of Friendship, Kevin Hooks told me that I should be a director when I was 14, because of the way that I was interested in what camera angles we were using always. I liked, when I wasn't shooting, I'd liked to sit behind the monitor and watch him direct. I was always really, he especially was such a great director. He's such a craftsman. And even watching The Color of Friendship now, I see even more things like Black Klansman. I'm like, wait a minute, Kevin Hooks was doing that in The Color of Friendship. You know what I mean? Like the style that was brought back into Black Klansman, Kevin Hooks had flavors of that in The Color of Friendship. And it's talked about as like this amazing, like, Academy Award winning level of artistry. And it's like, Kevin Hooks, man, he's killing it, but he said that to me first. And then later, pretty much after that, most directors that I worked with would talk to me about directing. Um, and my acting coach was like, you're a writer director. Like I'm training you for acting, but I'm also putting in your brain that stuff, just so you know, this isn't a mistake. And I was like, okay. And, but I was always really intimidated by it because I really respected the directors that I worked with. It's not just carrying one character in your head, it's carrying multiple, it's carrying the story, it's carrying camera angles, it's carrying, how long we're working, is it lunch yet, like it's carrying all of that. And working with the producers, and maybe they're a nightmare, maybe they're not, who knows, and as an actor, I'm just dealing with the director. My one job is just to please that director and do that one character. So I resisted a lot. But then when I was 25, I did a film, and it was finally just sort of the thing that was like, oh, I do know what I'm doing. And so I directed a music video, my own music video. I was like, I'm going to direct my own music video, because if it sucks, I don't really want it to come down on me. I don't want to ruin somebody else's thing. And then actually that music video got me back in touch with Alan Sachs, who was one of the producers of The Color of Friendship. Within a few hours of me posting that music video, Addicted by the Han Solo Project, he called me and he was like, hey, this is great. I have this film with Joe Jonas, and I think you would be the perfect director for it. And I was like, what? Like, he was like, what other things have you directed? And I was like, just this one thing. And he was like, oh, I may not be able to sell you to the producers. But then because I got that reaction from him and it put me back in contact with him, I really took it even more seriously. So I started directing short films with my friends, and directing more music videos, a lot of music videos for friends and for artists that I really liked. And then my friends and I got together and we made a feature film, Hanky Panky, which is gonna be coming out hopefully next year. And it's a crazy movie about a talking napkin, so really, really weird. And now I got hired to direct a film that I don't think I can fully talk about. I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm not going to. But they also hired me to co-write the script, which is incredible. And
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm floored. And so we'll see. I'm excited. We'll see. Now with the quarantine, it's like, we'll see when it can get made. Projects fall apart all the time. But it feels really good to have people noticing me in that way. And, and it's because I generated my own stuff. And that's what everybody always tells you is like, if you want to do something, just go out there and do it and make it really good and work really hard. And don't say, oh, it's just a short film, or, oh, it's just whatever. Like, do your best, do excellent work, and eventually someone will notice. And that's true, I think, at least in my case. So, and I've had a lot of chances in this industry, a lot of times when that has worked out.
Well, we're going to get into one of my favorite games, the rapid fire favorite things.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask you like 5 different questions about favorite things, and you just answer from the top of your head.
Okay.
Favorite memory from The Color of Friendship?
Okay. There was a scene where with Shadia Simmons and I don't even know if it made it into the movie, but we're both in the living room. I don't even remember what happens, but we just had an insane case of the giggles. Just insane. We could not stop laughing. We both kept breaking in the middle of the scene. We got along so well. We were like best friends on that set. Like everything that you see between us, like times that by 100, and that's how we actually were on set. We were buddies. And so it was like in like the falling in love phase, and we could not keep a straight face with each other. And we got in so much trouble. They had to shut down the set. Kevin Hooks came out to us and was like, it's costing us thousands of dollars right now because you guys can't stop laughing. So is that funny? And we were like, no. And that's the only time in my life and working that I haven't been able to keep it together with the laughing thing. We just had such a good time working together that it kind of hurt the project a little bit. I think or production and Sunny did. Sorry, Disney Channel. Sorry, Kevin.
Your favorite binge show you're watching right now?
I just finished watching. It's Unorthodox on Netflix. It's about a Jewish Orthodox Hasidic girl who leaves and decides to leave and goes to Berlin, flees her situation and goes to Berlin. And it's incredible. 2/3 of the show is in Yiddish, and it's such an incredible language, and that's like not represented in film normally. And so it's like such an incredible opportunity to watch that culture and to hear that language spoken. I loved it.
Your favorite movie surfer assignment?
Oh man, learning how to surf with Kelly Slater.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome. That was awesome. I was totally geeking out, and it's something that I get to throw around to my surfer friends all the time.
Your favorite fan moment that you've experienced?
Ooh, there have been a lot of them. There's someone who has a tattoo of one of my song lyrics, which is really amazing. From the song Broken. I actually didn't write that song, but it's a song that I was a part of that I performed. There was, I don't know if this is one of my favorite fan moments, but there was one time when I was in a mall during movie surfer years, and I would have mothers and their children come up to me all the time. And it was amazing, and I loved it. But there was this one time when I had eaten something wrong, and I was in a Z gallery, and this woman, and I was like, I have to go. It was just one of those moments where it was like, I have to find the nearest bathroom now. And this woman came up to me with the sweetest little boy and was like, hi, my son loves you. And I was like, and I was like sweating. It was the worst. It was like, I was trying so hard to be gracious, but it was just one of those moments where you can't be gracious. So that moment, maybe that's not the best moment. Maybe that's the most traumatizing moment, because I had to like, oh God, it was awful. It was awful.
And the last one, your favorite Disney movie?
Oh, Disney movie, not Disney Channel movie. Disney movie.
You can do both. Let's do both. Let's make it fun. My
favorite Disney movie, God, it's hard because I love them. I think it's Peter Pan. First of all, that's my favorite ride at Disneyland. Talk to any of my friends, anytime we go, I have to go on that ride, and I bawl the entire time. It's weird. The soundtrack to that movie is one of the most incredible things. The way that the music is written to the melody of the dialogue, or the other way around, I don't understand. It is just that movie is a masterpiece. Aside from the problematic racial undertones with Native American people, that's not the best. But the rest of that film is just so incredibly magical. Disney Channel original movie. I love Xenon. I love Shadia, and I love space. So I think she was in the sequel, or was she in the first one too?
She was in the sequel. Raven was in the first one and third one.
Right, Raven was in the first one. Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go with the sequel. Not that I have anything against Raven, but I got some loyalties with Shadia.
I just want to say thank you so much for doing this with me. This has been so much fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope I didn't talk too much. I haven't talked about this in a while.
No, you're good. I love hearing it. I truly do. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you on all social media platforms?
Oh, geez, sure. I'm really bad at Twitter, but I'm Han Solo Project on Twitter. Instagram is really where you can find me. And I am Lindsey Haun on Instagram, LANDSEYHAUN. on Instagram.
And you guys can find me at Real Chae Jones on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find the Dish Upon a Star Instagram account at @dishuponastar_. Guys, Disney Plus has The Color Friendship. If you for some reason have not seen it, I highly recommend it. It will change your life and be amazing to just watch it as an adult and live in this amazingness. Thank you so much again. I really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me on. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy spring. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for